Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Ngozi.
We can hear you.
All right. Okay, thank you. Good morning. I'm using my phone, but I want my laptop. I seem not to have hosting rights for my laptop. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you too. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much. I'm waiting for the panelists to be here. They're not here at the moment.
Yeah, right here, ma'am.
Okay, the panelists. Okay, because I asked for, okay, may I know who is here? Is Titilayo Oludayo Adedokun here from University of Lagos? Are you here?
Is Titilayo
here? Sorry, can I hear you again?
Yes, is here. Everybody is here.
Okay, Titilayo is there, and I'm trying to. Okay, you're the one that wrote Publishing Yoruba Literature, right?
Yes.
Okay, two of you are here. Beautiful. All right. Can we start now? I asked for your brief bio. I didn't get it. So Titilayo should go first. Please, I don't know if you saw the text I sent, the message I sent. I said each participant would go for 16 minutes so that we have enough time for questions and answers and other things. Is that okay by you?
Oh, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I don't have your bio, but let me acknowledge your presence. Right here at the moment, before we start, my name is Ngozi Osuchukwu. I'm the chair of this session titled Education, Curriculum, Development, and Educational Policies. That is our title for section 8E, starting at 9:15. Now we have the first person, Titilayo Oludayo Adedokun from University of Lagos. She's presenting this paper with Olumiyiwa David Adedokun from Federal Ministry of Education. And the title of their presentation is Secondary School Students' Perception on Curriculum Review and Information Access. So Titilayo.
And let's say 2023. Okay. Yes.
Titilayo, are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Okay, please go on. You have 16 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I want it projected. Okay.
You can go ahead. This session
everyone.
is being recorded.
Yes.
Good morning.
Should I go ahead? Yes.
Please go on.
Okay. I am waiting for the slides to be projected. LSA 2023. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Titilayo Adedokun of the University Library, University of Lagos. I am okay. I am presenting a paper on the perception of secondary school students on the colonization of education and information access. Just give me 1 minute, please.
All right. You have the
and something be fit to my system. Okay.
Show them. Just give us a few minutes.
All right.
Okay, send with the okay. Maybe the next person can go ahead.
Titulai, are you still there?
Not yet, please.
Okay, okay.
Can you ask me why she gets ready?
Sorry?
We are looking
Hello?
at it. Perhaps I can start mine while she
Okay.
gets ready.
Okay, yours is on publishing Yoruba literature, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can go on if your own is ready.
Okay.
So hold on, while we wait for Titilayo to get ready, we now welcome Kehinde Adebeba, sorry if I murder your name, from Lagos State University of Science and Technology. We'll be presenting on publishing Yoruba literature, problems and prospects. Now, Kehinde, can you go on if you're ready, please?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Kehinde, go on, please. You have 16 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. I am Kehinde Adepegba of the Department of Arts and Industrial Design, Lagos State University of Science and Technology. I'm an artist, I'm an art historian, and I'm also a Yoruba and English creative writer. So I take time to look at this issue. Ordinarily, I would have been writing about art, and all that has to do with is development and how it interfaces with human development. But looking at Yoruba literature is also of concern to me, more so that we have in recent time a number of problems affecting the Yoruba literature publishing. I've also worked before in a publishing industry. I work as a designer at Lagos State, at Longman Nigeria PSC. So I'm also conscious of the problems that publishers have with publishing in indigenous language. So I'm looking at this topic in order to address some of these challenges, especially within the environment that we are living, where we need conducive environment, where we need good policies, where we even need technology to help us to drive the publishing of Yoruba, because the publishing of in Yoruba language is actually something that is of great prospect, because it's a way of educating the public, especially coming from indigenous knowledge point of view, so that people will be close or closer to their culture as documented in books. So the work is looking at the fact that Yoruba publishing is over 160 years old, because the first one that was done was in 1859. That's Ìwé Ìròyìn Àwọn Ẹ̀gbá at Yoruba. This was a newspaper that was published first and foremost in Yoruba language. And this was something that was spearheaded by the missionaries, especially Eric Townsend when it was in Abeokuta. And since then, it has been a roller coaster thing for the Yoruba language publishing. After that, we can say that we have a number of both national, international related companies like Longman, Anyman, like Macmillan, all of these publishers, especially in the early 60s. And when Nigeria got independence, they were involved in publishing Yoruba books. They are involved in publishing Yoruba books. So, the other side. So, but there is a fear that, like they have said of other languages, there could be what we call dying of some indigenous languages. And that is also because the elites, they are not helping matters. Our elites are not helping their children to read the book written in their languages, especially Yoruba language. And there are even no books, so to say, especially for younger people. And the fact that elites want their children to speak English, and that's what they think that is the standard of understanding if their children are civilized or not. Then there are issues relating to government, publishers themselves, even parents and readers. They have a role to play. Next slide. Now, when we're talking about Yoruba books, we are not limiting Yoruba books to textbooks. There's also newspapers, there's textbooks. These are educational texts that help, like grammar book and other literature books that help the student to understand the language. Then we have the common ones or the popular ones, creative writing. So you can remember Oleku by Akumishola, Reke Onibudo by so many books that were published then. Alawiye, Oluwalayemo, and so on and so forth. So these books are not as many in the present dispensation as the books that were written about Yoruba culture, but in English. Why this is good? We are saying that there should be more books written about Yoruba in Yoruba language. Those that are written about Yoruba in English, they are welcome because they help those who are not Yoruba to understand the content of the culture. But publishing in Yoruba language is very paramount. So we can see some of this old work. This book is the one on the right is my work. I did this one in 2014. But I can tell you that since I did this write-up, I've not done any work. And 2014 to 2023 is more than 10 years. And I'll tell you the reason why when we get further. I'll tell you the reason. But these are just examples of works that we can relate with. And these ones are examples of attempts in the past by Yoruba people to put in black and white their language. We have Irawo Wuro, Irawo Bokun. This was published in Geshaland. Iroyin Mole, this is early publication that shows that Yoruba have been publishing for a long while. Then we have Iroyin Yoruba. This is another one. Eko Akite. This was published among the Yoruba people. So let's move forward. Now, who are the key players in Yoruba publishing industry? The authors. They are the first people because without their writing the books, we do not have the books. We have designers and illustrators who help in the aesthetic of the book. The editors help in the ensuring that the books are well done. So the question to ask these days is, do we have enough editors? Do we have enough authors? Or the qualities of writings by authors, are they substantial compared with what we have had in the future? Publishers, how well are they doing? Are they able to cope? Are they not? Are they really doing what they are supposed to be doing? Then we have marketers. How are they doing this? How are they ensuring that this book gets to places? Government agencies, what policies are they giving us that help or do not help publishing in Yoruba language? Then we have curriculum planners. What are they doing about the curriculums? the curriculum they are doing for us. Now, these are some of the problems that have been identified. Government is not really supporting because government, for example, has made, in those days, Yoruba or any indigenous language is compulsory, but now it's no longer compulsory. You have to do one indigenous language. So if we can have the policy where a Nigerian must do a Nigerian language, it will help. Limited access to funding. We all know that in Africa, especially in Nigeria, there's no funding like that for such thing. Then we have limited distribution channels. These books are not well distributed, and that's why we have issues of pirates plugging into the loopholes that are allowed to exist in the course of problem of distributing the books. There is now limited readership, and I can ask us here, as we are seated, how many of us have read a Yoruba book in the last 2 years, 5 years? You can say that we have read English books. How many of us have read those books? And those books are there. Some of them are all over the place. In fact, some of them have been redefined or republished, like the ones by Fagunwa. How many of us have access to it? How many of us can even read? How many of us can even read? So these are the problems. There's also the employment of right technology. This one has to do with the way this language is typed. There is no, when I was working in Longman, there was no right technology to type in Yoruba language where you have all the tone marks appropriately done. So the companies are just trying to come up with their own ingenious method. So there's no technology that you can say that when you want to type Yoruba, you can type it and all these tone marks will be there. Then there's poor reading culture. This one, we all know that even English books, how many of us are reading them? Except for reading, maybe sometimes we read the Bible and we read newspaper. But the other books that are helping, because some of us like fake news, we like to now Twitter and all these other social media have taken over reading culture from us. And reading on social media or reading using a phone should not take the place of physical book reading. And there's also the problem of default in payment of royalty. I told you that the last time I published a Yoruba work was 2014. But I can say that one of the reasons is that I was not encouraged. I have so many works that I've done. I have Ekweda, I have Ogbon Logbon. If you Google it, you see Ogbon Logbon, you see Ekweda, you see this one, Okelakobu. But the problem is that I have not been getting royalty. These books have been recommended for junior secondary school in almost all the western states of Nigeria. I'm supposed to be richer than this, but where is the money? The money is not, the royalty is not getting to me. So these are some of the problems that we have with publishing. So let's see the next slide. Now, prospects. I want to quickly go over this one. There is growing interest in African literature. This is a global thing, and we can plug into this. There's also emergence of new publishers that are interested in this area. There's also the use of digital platform, whereby you can have Yoruba read on online, not necessarily in physical. So all of this will help the publishing in that language. The role of education in promoting Yoruba literature, because if there is enough literature, it will help us to get more education. Then there is a growing Yoruba diaspora in Brazil, in Cuba, in America, in some other places. They don't even have access to some of these books. So there is a lot of prospects for books to be, when published, to get to them. There's also the publishing of stories in new media. Like you can have a Yoruba cartoon. You can have Yoruba story in photography form. And this will be accessible to people and to be interesting to younger ones. There's even the area of children Yoruba publishing, which has not been has not been done has not been really plugged into. Thank you. So I'm looking at the fact that when we have advocacy and awareness campaign, it will help. If there's collaboration between publishers and writers, they should have seminar and all of that. It should help. And when writers are encouraged, when publishers pay royalty, it will help. Promoting Yoruba literature in schools. You can go to schools to promote the language. And one of the problems we have about this Yoruba literature in school is that the way they are selected is also affecting the books. You know, they will select a particular one, they will use it for 3 years. Those ones that are also equally good, they will be there, they will not be used. I think sometimes they should make it easier for books to be read. Even if they are not going to be used for exam, some of them should be read in the course of preparing them for exams. Then there should be enabling laws that make the language compulsory. I mean, when you give us language compulsory, and laws that will also help if we have defaulters like publishers who do not pay, they should be in for it. Then government policy and enabling law, they are related. So all of this will help. Then we should also be innovative in the way we try to ensure that Yoruba language is spread across the world. Let's look at the last. This is Alaroye. This is a recent one, news magazine for Yoruba. This one is also a new one, but this one is also an online thing. So it shows that people are trying to come up with things that are innovative enough that will make this to be acceptable. So let's go. Benefits: to promote the culture, to sustain creative writing, new talents will be discovered, to improve reading culture, to create job for editors, job for illustrators, job for publishers, job even business, money or income for writers. Then ultimately, we'll be documenting our culture. Conclusion: in spite of problems identified, the prospects are huge in terms of creating economy, sustaining creative writing, documenting culture for posterity, and identifying new writers, among others. Stakeholders in publishing industry must support the growth of Yoruba literature in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kehinde. Thank you so much for that interesting and insightful presentation on Yoruba literature problems and prospects. I really enjoyed those things you pointed out, and I think I agree with you in some of them. Now, we're not going to questions and answers and more discussions now until we finish the other presentations we have for today. So stick around because time for questioning and answering will come. Thank you very much for that once again. Now, is that Titilayo, is she ready for her presentation?
Oh, yes.
Titilayo, you are ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, please go on. Thank you. Titilayo, go on, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Titilayo Adedokun, and my co-author is David Adedokun. He will be joining us online. So I am presenting a topic on decolonization in the 21st century, secondary school students' perception on review and information access. By way of introduction, we all know that education is a powerful tool that can be used to change the world. And colonization is a process of settling among and establishing control over the indigenous people. Colonization is a tool to undermine the indigenous people, according to Lopez and Lugano 2018. These our colonizers, they have used education to maintain control over the people. And so this is why we look at it that there's a need for us to decolonize our education process. Decolonization is a process of undoing colonizing practices which involve confronting and challenging the colonizing practices that influence education. So it is a process of critiquing and renewing the curriculum. There's a need for us to renew our curriculum. Though our colonizers, they brought education to us, it was beneficial to us, but now we need to decolonize in making sure that our own thing is put into our education process. Now, schools and institutions, they help us in transforming the mind of the people. In this era of knowledge economy, information plays an increasingly important role in every sphere of the development process. And so information is an indispensable factor in the development of any nation. Access to information will give rise to knowledge about the culture and values of the indigenous people. So this is a very good reason for us to make information and our own knowledge available and accessible to our people, our children, for example, right from young. The methodology used, this study is a descriptive survey research design, empirical method. So, and the participants were senior secondary school students in Ilorin metropolis. We use both public and private schools. Although the research is ongoing, we've not been able to gather all the data. Some schools we've not been able to get from some schools, but we got from 5 different schools. We have the public and both private schools that participated. And a structured questionnaire was used to get data, which was analyzed using descriptive statistics. So the findings from the results, it was found that students perceive that colonization is a necessary tool in Nigerian education, and it was used to the benefit of the colonial masters. And but the critical thing there is that colonization led to the erosion of our social values, of our culture, because we have been colonized, we have been taught their own way. We are now neglecting many of our values, many of our culture. For example, culture of greeting. Now you see even our children now greeting standing. In my own place, I think Southwest Nigeria, when the girl wants to greet the parent or the elderly ones, you have to kneel down while the boy prostrates. But now this is being eroded because of the education system. Now you stand up. Some will even stretch forth hands to greet an elderly person, which is very common in our own culture. So then also they perceive that decolonization can be achieved through curriculum review. That is, our education, our curriculum should be reviewed. All these, our values, our culture, our beliefs should be integrated or incorporated into our curriculum. And also they perceive that when we decolonize, it will lead to societal rebirth. That is all this negative influence of the Western education that has really crept into our culture. We by this, give way. It will lead to our societal rebirth. Now, summary of findings. We found out that colonization led to erosion of our social values and was used to the benefit of our colonial masters. and that curriculum review is necessary in decolonizing Nigeria education process, and also it will bring about societal rebirth. And also colonization will help bring about self-reliance, because when our children, right from school, primary, junior secondary school, have learned our way of doing things, producing things, they will be self-reliant. They can produce things for themselves. They will be they will add to our national economy. Now, findings on information access reveal that students mostly source for information through mass media, that is through listening to radio, watching television, and also visiting the ICT centers to browse the internet. Very few of them use the library. Maybe at this point, I can come in that although now things are beginning to change, before, when you get to even secondary schools, to even find a physical library, they may not have, they may just have a place, a small place where they have some books, some textbooks. But now that is changing. Secondary schools, in particular, now have physical library, and some of them even have electronic libraries in place in the school, where students go and access information. The challenges of information access, as found out by this study, revealed lack of skills to access information. Some of them lack skills. And incessant power outage, which is general, we all know in the country today, power is not that, so we experience incessant power outage, and also lack of internet in schools. In conclusion, the study has established the fact that colonization has led to erosion of our social values, and this points to the fact that we need to colonize our education process in Nigeria. And this can only be achieved through curriculum review. When we review our curriculum, also we can, from the primary school level, start to teach them in our own language. For instance, China, they have integrated their indigenous language in teaching their children. So by this, our students, we also learn our culture, our social values, when we teach using our indigenous language. Also, we need to create local content and provide access to our information by curating and digitizing our indigenous knowledge. So our children should be taught our things. We should not allow these things to go. Once our parents, grandparents go, we shouldn't allow those knowledge, those indigenous knowledge, to go with them. We should curate them and digitize them and make them accessible to students, to children, to people at large. In recommendations, the study recommends that decolonization of education is necessary and should begin from primary, junior, secondary school levels. Western education should be integrated with other forms of education, such as nomadic education. You need to integrate this so that all these people, all those that move from one place to the other, they will continue to have education. And the use of our language in teaching, I've said that before. Also, apprenticeship education should be incorporated into our education process, especially in junior secondary school level. Our students should be taught all these those meat, all those our way of weaving our clothes, all those crafts that are indigenous. They should be taught right from primary, junior secondary school level. Also, the teaching on ICT in secondary school should be more practical. Some schools, they only have that ICT center, they only have computer center, but they don't allow the students to use them. They are only there, maybe the staff, the teachers go there to do their stuff. But students should be allowed, they should have practical time, the time for practical, computer practical in their timetable where they will put into practice not only the theory in classroom, they should go and practicalize. Thank you.
Thank you, Titilayo. That was very good from you. Yes, I agree with some of the things you said and the ones you just said now, because I too have experienced that some schools have ICT centers or departments. But most of the time, you see these ICT devices being covered without really being used by the students. So we come back to that. Thank you so much. We're supposed to have 4 presenters today. I don't know if the other 2 are ready and they're around. We are supposed to have Tomike Christine Olaniyan and Umakari Abubakar on oral history and peace education at the new Kushingora IDP camp, Abuja. We're also supposed to have Chijoke Azu Awasefe and Elizabeth Titilayo from Catholic Institute of West Africa, Siwa, Port Harcourt, on decolonizing communication and media studies, a critical review of CMS core curriculum and minimum academic standards in Nigeria. Please, are they around? Are they here?
They are not here.
They are not. All right, thank you. That means we have more time to talk about what you have done now. I hope you're ready, Kehinde and Titilayo. Are you ready for the discussion?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we are ready.
All right. Thank you. I must confess that I love your papers so much. In fact, I've gained a lot. I've learned so much about publishing Yoruba literature by Kehinde. And I also, relate it to what we have done here in the East. And I can say that same thing, it goes around. It's a kind of a vicious cycle where our local languages are being, how do I put it, are being limited by our own people, even the parents, just like Kehinde mentioned. I noticed that the modern parents these days, they speak English in the homes. When the children go to school, they speak English. Wherever they go to, they speak English. And when you try to speak your local language, they will say, no, speak English to them. Here in Nigeria, in their motherland, they speak the English language. So it baffles me when some parents refuse that their children should learn English. And the amazing thing there, I don't know about the West, but it is, some of these parents that speak English, they don't even speak it well. And these are the things they encourage their children to speak in the homes. They speak wrong grammar in the homes. And they'll be proud. My child doesn't understand Igbo. Imagine that. So, Kehinde, I'm coming to you on that. Again, let me comment that I am happy when you say that Yoruba language publishing has been there since 1859. Yes, I'm happy about that. It shows that our people know what they are doing when they started hammering on our indigenous language. And two, Kehinde, having worked in publishing company, I must say that it helped you in putting up those arguments you put up on publishing Yoruba literature. Now, my question is, you stated that these days, the curriculum does not allow the students, to do one local language as a mandatory course. When I went to school, it was mandatory for us during our own time. You must do one local language. So please, I want you to explain very well now on how that goes on, maybe in the West. So does it mean there is no mandatory of taking one local language, or I didn't get you well? Could you please explain that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, in our schools, emphasis are on English, mathematics, and other courses that are related to your area, maybe commercial, science, or art. For example, if it's science, we need to do physics, chemistry, biology. And again, the planners of the curriculum have also introduced what they call trade subjects, like civic education, bleaching and dyeing, computer, so many courses like that that do not have direct correlation with what, though they have their rules they are going to perform. But you will realize that there's no emphasis on Yoruba language or any indigenous language. Unlike before, during our own time, when it was compulsory, when you choose English, maths, you choose any of that three relating to your specialization area, you must do a language. In fact, then there was also the option of doing French, as an alternative to English. But now it's no longer like that. Then that is even one. The other aspect is that in those days, in our primary schools, secondary school, we used to have assembly where we sing songs and do all that kind of a thing. Mostly songs that are indigenous. Even in classrooms, there are times that they teach, and in fact, then there are even teachers who uses songs in the indigenous language to teach science, to teach mathematics, to teach. All of those things are no longer there. I think what was also responsible is the fact that there's no longer colleges of education where the right methodology of teaching students in secondary school, in primary school are taught. So it is interwoven issue. So what I'm saying that for now, it's not compulsory that you must pass, you must do what is even compulsory, apart from English and maths, which is compulsory, is that you must also choose from the trade subjects, some of which I have mentioned, apart from the core subject. You must choose from those trade subjects. And I don't see how that affects the students to do well or to get admission. Even in our school, in my department, for example, we don't consider those three subjects as key to admission. So I don't know how relevant those subjects are there. So what we need to focus on, we are not focusing on it. And I think the indigenous language is very important. If English is compulsory, there's no reason why one indigenous language is not being compulsory. So I think that's one major problem. So it's like that here. Thank you.
All right, I totally agree with you. If English should be compulsory, then our local language should be compulsory. Yes, I am an advocate of integration of local languages in our classrooms, in teaching, in education, in curriculum. Now that you mentioned colleges of education, you mentioned it. I know there are colleges of education, although I don't know what their curricula are like. And I know that there is a teachers registration council. As a lecturer, I don't know if you wrote the exam. Now, do you think that teachers registration council has something to do with our teachers, learning those methodologies you talked about? Because in colleges of education and even in postgraduate diploma in education, they do educational courses, although they do them in English language. Now, when they go in for the Teachers Registration Council, do you think that board or that organizing committee or whatever has something to do with the methodologies and with integration of local languages in our curriculum and education?
Well, I think we are talking about two things now. The first one we are talking about is the language as a compulsory subject in secondary school. And so that by the time you get to school starts, it will be an option for you to do. And we are saying that it's no longer compulsory, like maths and English are compulsory. Now, the second thing we are talking about now is the methodology of teaching. I think that is another kettle of fish. And why this one is a problem? Because of policy. The one of choosing, having to do one subject. The other one is about methodology. So even when we talk about Teachers Registration Council, it's just for you to be officially recognized as a teacher. It's not as if you are not going to be taught the methodology of teaching. Is that you are a lecturer or you are a teacher, but you don't have education background, and now you want to be integrated. So that's one of the things that Teachers Registration Council does. They do other things, but that's one of the things they do. But now, coming to the issue of methodology, and I think this is now very important. In primary school, in secondary school, teachers should be encouraged, even when it is not in their curriculum, to help to teach using indigenous methods, which are far enriching and which help to help the student to learn faster. But apart from that, there can also be a policy, and I think this has been done before by Fafunwa, who did an experiment, and they used two secondary school in Ife, where they taught one with indigenous language. They taught maths, English, science, biology, chemistry, biology, using indigenous language, and they taught the other school using English. And another day, when they had their examination, those who were taught in English, all those subjects, mathematics and the rest, did not perform better than those who are taught using, in fact, those who are taught using indigenous language did well. So it means that it's going to be more effective if there will be policy that will ensure that indigenous language are used in teaching mathematics, in teaching English, in teaching science. And this will lead to publishing of more books in those in Yoruba language or the other indigenous language, in mathematics, in economics, geography, science. There is nothing special about science that cannot be taught using. In fact, I believe that it will be more effective using indigenous language. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because even in China, all in their schools, in fact, every subject is taught in their local language in China. Yes, even the sciences, everything is taught in their language, and they're so proud of it. And you can imagine, the Chinese people now, they are now moving into our institutions now, establishing the Chinese department, the department and all that, so that Chinese language will go around. And it's a good innovation they are doing. And we are buying into it without even, extending such strategies in other places, just like the Chinese are doing in our country today. Thank you so much. I will now move on to Titilayo. I'll come back to you again. Now, Titilayo, you stated that in some secondary schools, even though they have computer ICT rooms or ICT centers, that those computer devices are not being used. They are more of, they are more of just there being displayed for nothing. Now, I want to ask you, as a librarian and as a custodian of knowledge, and as somebody who, who shares information and who engages people, what are the libraries or librarians doing? Are you collaborating with teachers? What are you doing to ensure that those ICT or those electronic devices in the secondary schools are used the way they should be used and not just, being there as cosmetics? What are you doing or what have you done? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this question. It's a very good question, and is something that should be looked into critically, especially by the librarians. We do talk about it, but what we can do has to be through the association, which is the Nigerian Library Association. We have a lot to do, a lot more to do. I can say that I have not seen it that we are doing too well along this line. Though we do have, when we have our library week, annual library week, we do go to schools, to promote reading, culture, and all that. We do go for maybe career talk among the students. But for us to enter into the schools to see that libraries are being used or are promoted among the students, making sure that these students have a time in their timetable to use the library. Many schools, especially private ones, they are faring well in this line. But some of our public schools, especially the state-owned schools, they are not doing too well. And we librarians should go in there. And also, there's a case of, when there's a library in secondary schools, the person sitting there, they just put somebody there to sit down there who is not a professional, who doesn't know anything about library. So the NLA, Nigerian Library Association, has a lot to do in making sure that the right person is put in the library. When the schools have librarians or library professionals, this will be looked into, and it will kind of be enforced that students make use of the library. And also the ICT centers, the librarians cannot really go into that. It is the policy makers that has a lot to do in that area through the management of the schools, the principal, the vice principal, to see to it that students make use of that ICT centers. They may regulate, because there is no way the center can, accommodate all the students per time. So they may kind of make a schedule whereby maybe SS1 during this so time between 5 and 6, for those that are boarders that run boarding system, maybe SS2 between this so time, so that these students are, encouraged to use it, because many at times when they go, they don't allow them here, and this must be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, I don't know, when you were presenting, I'm lost here. Yeah, when you were talking about the perception of secondary school students or the curriculum, Did you mention the use of library
Yes,
in your questionnaire? Did you?
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay,
And
I think I missed it.
yes, and I said that a few of them make use of the library. Some schools don't have, like the schools that participated. I think two of them don't even have. They don't even have good library, but some of them have, both states and federal. The federal government college, they have good library. They have e-library, and they also have ICT centers. The students make use of them, but not as expected.
Yes, and I'll come to you, Dr. Kehinde. I hope I'm right. I've been calling you Kehinde. You are a doctor, right?
Yes, I'm a doctor.
Sorry, I've not been addressing you properly. Now, let me come to you on that local literature, the Yoruba literature. I want to bring library into it. Yes, you talked about how the language is not being used as it should. Now I want to ask you, do you think the local publications, the Yoruba literature, Yoruba newspaper and all that, do you think they are being used or being displayed in the libraries as they should? Because a library is a place, a common place for a common man, especially the public library. So why the library stocks English language, why they stock novels in English, stock newspapers, stock other things in English? Do you think they have enough resources for Yoruba literature? Because it's a place where even if one cannot afford to buy a Yoruba novel or Yoruba newspaper, the library is supposed to have it for everybody. Do you think they have these resources? Do you think they are doing justice to the Yoruba literature or local languages rather? Thank you.
Well, I think that they have some libraries have, and I want to say let's talk about library in secondary schools. I think they have all the subjects. They usually have the books for all the subjects that are taught in that school. So that's really maths, English, this chemistry, agri, Yoruba, and the rest. But what I cannot say is if they have enough. Then when it comes to other places where other libraries, especially national library, where books are kept, I think for them they also have, especially universities or colleges of education, or yes, where they teach or the courses that relate to the language. So I think they have. But some who do not also have courses that relate to the language, they also have. Because I think in library, with my knowledge of library, there is a classification method that they use. Books and Yoruba language is part of it. If I'm correct, I think that Madam will confirm that. So, but what I don't know if schools, if institutions will still lay more emphasis in purchasing books in that area, the way they lay emphasis, especially these days, in buying books that relates to ICT, that relates to those new technology, But I believe that some of these books still have, some of these libraries still have some books. But the question is that the books that they have is the function of the books that are published. So we should now look at it. Are the publishers publishing enough Yoruba books? If they are not publishing enough books in indigenous language, where would the library get those books to stock? So I think they are related. The more publishing we can have in indigenous language, Yoruba, as in this case, the more books the library will buy and share. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kehinde, let me ask you again. This is about curriculum. I know sometime last year, there is a change, or a change started on CC in all the universities, so that the curriculum will have 21st century learning and the global trends, so that Nigerian students or Nigerian youths will now graduate, to be better, to be at par with their counterparts in other countries. And I want to ask, in primary and secondary schools, with basis on publishing Yoruba literature and other literature, I don't know, I want you to tell me, has something like that happened, in the primary and secondary school circles? I mean, the CCMAs, the way they are now handling it. Because every school is now running helter-skelter, every department, faculties, trying to enshrine those courses that, we make their faculties and departments to be what it is, to be what it should be, to be futuristic. I don't know if such things, or if such thing has taken place in our primary and secondary school curriculum. Could you please enlighten us on this?
Yes, I think curriculum anywhere, even in Nigeria, educational policy. Nigeria has educational policy, Nigeria educational policy. Even in that policy, it is entrenched that there must be review of curriculum at least every 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, which means that in the policy of the government, there is room for review of curriculum. So that is sacrosanct. Now, the question is implementation. Are the bodies responsible for the review of curriculum? Are they doing it? So that's the question. So for primary school, there's a body called NARDC. NARDC, they are the one responsible for review of an upgrade of primary curriculums. And I think they always do this. The unfortunate thing about such bodies that they usually have funds. So there usually budgetary allocation to that body to be able to review curriculum, because they need to call resource people, put them in somewhere for 1 week, 2 weeks, and they will writing and reviewing this curriculum. So there's a body for it. The law supports it. There is a policy on inclusion for it that says that there must be a review of curriculum. But the question is, are they funded? Do they do the review as regular as possible? So that's the question. That one I cannot answer, but I know that there's room for review. And even in secondary school, there is the GSS level, the state education board are responsible for reviewing those curriculum in line with the federal government policy. So the question is that, do they usually review it? Are they funded by the states? This is the question. And the third category is this upper secondary, which is the work of the WAEC of this world, the NECO. They are the ones that are supposed to review the curriculum, because they are the ones that organize exams for those levels. So I know that those ones usually do. They do review their curriculum, because each time there is going to be an exam, they will select some literature, they will review some aspects, and I think they do it regularly. Maybe because they are not attached to the government per se. Though NECO is attached to the government, but I think they review. So there are levels of review. There are bodies that are involved, and I think there's law backing review. But how much, how regular that they do it is a question to be asked.
All right. Again, Dr. Kehinde, I know that we have a copyright law that protects authors. And I heard when you talked about the book you wrote in 2014, and the ones you are supposed to have published, but because of piracy and all that. Man, I want to ask, why do we have copyright law that doesn't seem to protect the authors from their work? I mean, is there any way or is there anything the government can do to protect authors' work so that they will benefit? They will gain their royalty, they will benefit from their hard labor, so that their intellectual property will not be waste. That's what you just said. And I felt it when you said it. You have so many books to publish. But look at you now, like you stated, you have all this, you publish, and you don't have anything, to be happy that you published a work. Nothing comes to you. How can copyright be made or be enhanced, or how can that board ensure that our authors are encouraged so that they will continue to produce, these decisions that our future generation needs so much? What do you think can be done, please?
Okay, I think we are in Nigeria, and all that we are talking about has to do with Nigeria situation, and there are laws. All these laws are there. I've also mentioned implementation of the law. And when it comes to piracy is an organized crime, and those who are involved, they are very powerful. Police are aware of where they are. They are aware of their operation, but they don't. They dare in some cases not to go and arrest them. They have warehouses where they have press where they print recommended books, and they have channels of distributing the books. And of course, the cost of the books are ridiculously low. So when parents get to the market, they want to buy, they see the original one published by a publisher, and there's a pirated one, low in quality, and it's cheaper. And they cannot afford the one that is normal. They will afford the one that is cheaper. So I think it also has to do with our values, it has to do with poverty and all of that. So the police, they are aware of where they are. Some of them, they are being tried, and they continue to be tried forever. The judgment is not pronounced. So, and even sometimes they threaten authors or publishers who dare to challenge them. So they are very powerful people. So I think what we need is stronger policing, and that is just one situation. What of those who have been just by the way, who have been convicted, who have been taken to court on the account of corruption by EFCC for doing this and doing that? They have not been charged to court. They have not been sentenced, for years. So it's a Nigerian factor. So these people are there. They are making money. They are eating from the sweat of others. The publishers put in a lot of cost of origination, cost of printing, but these ones do not do all those things. They do not give authors royalty. They do not engage editors. They do not engage illustrator designers. What they just do is to copy the books and go to press. So the government should empower the police, so to say. And I think it's also a problem of corruption. Even when the police are in power, are they ready to confront these organized criminals? So that's the issue.
Thank you. Titilayo, I want to ask, what is information access like in the secondary school libraries? When you talk about information access, what is it like? What is the level of access in the secondary school?
Okay, in the secondary school now, especially the federal government colleges and private schools that are owned by, there are some, when we talk about private schools, we have some that are well organized and we have some that are just coming up. So for those ones that are well organized, and federal government colleges, information processing and access is good. It's good. They try in making sure that the source for information, especially books, textbooks, and other books like all these novels and all that, all those motivational books, they are available in their libraries. And also in the high city center, very good. In federal government colleges, they built for all the schools, ICT center, and they have powerful satellites to access the internet. All those big private schools too, they have good ICT centers. They don't play with it because now we are in the information era. So now students, they do their JAM exams using CBT. So they cannot afford not to make their students computer literate now. Only some of schools owned by states, I can say that information access is not as it's supposed to be. And those private schools that are just coming up, because some are just coming up, they don't have these resources, they don't have funds, so they are not, information access in those schools are not nothing to write home about. Thank you.
Well, all right. This is Dr. Kehinde. You mentioned that having implicating the high tone, low tone in Yoruba language, that it is one of the major problems in publishing. I don't know how it is now, but I want to ask, these Yoruba literatures, are they online or are they still on physical copies? Can they still be accessed online these days?
Okay, I think I've come across some websites where there are a number of information, educational materials for people that are learning Yoruba, and they are online, and they have the tone marks appropriately. But for the literature, those storybooks, number one, some of them are not free. You cannot do a creative work and throw it to the internet. So, but what I realized that what is more online now is how to get those books. So wherever you are in the world, through some publishers, through some bookstores, you can apply for them. So access to the books are now online, and you can get the books in 2 days. I also bought a book recently. A Yoruba book. I bought it from Ibadan, and I got it in Lagos. So I think we have physical books that you can have access to through online. But I don't think those books are in soft copy, so to say. I've not come across anyone with soft copy. So, but there are websites that have educational content written in Yoruba, and that's there. And I think one of the things that is interesting is that you can also have access to Yoruba dictionary. You can on your website you can look for any word in Yoruba, their meaning, and there will be many websites that will give you the meaning. Just as when you are looking for a Yoruba, an English word, in the dictionary on website, that was available. Any word that you're looking for in Yoruba, there are online dictionaries that will give you the meaning. And I think Google and other platforms too, when you're looking for other words, the meaning of words, or some words in Yoruba language will give you. And there are other, like I said, educational materials in different websites all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you. That's interesting. Thank you, my panelists, Titilaya and Hinde. I know you'll be thinking that I'm bombarding you with questions and all that. Yes, don't be annoyed because I just have two of you, and I love the presentations, and I think we can learn more. Hello?
I don't know whether
Yes.
there will be people from the floor who may want to ask questions in the time that is left.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. You still have time. Please, do we have anybody who would like to ask questions? You can ask, for our panelists here. Yes. Do we have somebody?
Yes, somebody.
Okay. All right. Please tell us your name and ask your question. Thank you so much.
My name is Dr. Baby Shukley, the Medical Education. My question goes to Dr. Adekwegbag. I was a bit late. I didn't really understand of your presentation. There was about the dictionary of Yoruba being online. I mean, is it accessible to everybody?
Yes, what I'm saying is that the way you want to look for a word in English on your browser and you type the word, and there will be dictionaries that will come up, Oxford Dictionary and all of that, where they will not give you the meaning of that English word. So the same thing happens when you are looking for a Yoruba word. There are dictionaries online that will pop up. You choose the one that you want to take your meaning from. So they are there. If you do it now, you get them. You understand? You want a word? Yes, the additional that will come up, giving you the meaning of the word. And yes, dictionary that no Yoruba dictionary.
Okay.
Yoruba dictionary that will come up and they will give you the Yoruba meaning.
In Yoruba
language.
Yoruba language.
Yeah, it will be, you are going to access Yoruba dictionary that will give you the meaning. Just the way you access when you are looking for a meaning in English, and you see some dictionary coming up, giving you their own meaning. That's when you get it for Yoruba. And if you are looking for a word, when you type Google for any Yoruba word, maybe you are looking for the English meaning of the Yoruba word, to give you any word in Yoruba. Google will give you the English meaning.
In addition to what she said about accessibility for the students, well, I believe that those schools, probably because of guiding their equipment, the IT center might not be that open to all of them. Even the federal university, even the federal colleges. Beginning to do IT, especially when you don't have able hand to mind the place. Because like most of those schools, they don't really have professional that mind the place. They don't have any teacher there. And some of them don't have knowledge of those things. And don't forget that our students now, especially the younger ones in secondary school, they are far advanced in technology. Even than the teachers. So probably some of them we either not fully when they might ask questions that she or he are not able to answer. So that's where the accessibility, that's where the constraint is for those students. They don't have full hands that will answer questions, they don't have full hands that answer those technology issues there. Thank you.
very much. But that should be
very much.
Yes, sorry. I just want to quickly add something to it. What you said is true, but all the same, the school there should be a plan. They should have somebody that is capable, that is there. Because I happen to teach in a school, and what I taught in that school was ICT. So although before I got to the school, they had 2 teachers that were that center, which were, those teachers were mathematics teachers. But when I came, that is my work. I was always in that center. So students come in, we have timetable for them, where this class by class they come. So and anytime when they have any assignment to do, they come in there. I was always there to guide them and to see to whatever thing they are doing. So schools, the management has a lot to do to get somebody that is capable. And they have to give room to these students to use the device, because why whether the proprietaries or government, why they establish that center is for the students to learn, and so we must give them that opportunity to learn. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think I like that word you used, capable. In fact, our educational system needs people who are capable. Even the teachers, the librarians, even those that work on the curriculum, we need people that are capable. When people are capable, when people are working where they should work and doing what they should do, then things will be better than what we have today. Thank you so much. We still have about 8 minutes. Does any audience?
Somebody's using up his hand.
Okay, okay, please go on. Tell us your name and go on. Thank you.
My name is Victor. I just want to talk about yeah. I think language is very important. Yoruba language, of course. I speak Yoruba, but I can't read and write in Yoruba, which is not my fault, but I was not taught in the language. But my thing is that I want to draw attention to the national language policy of 2022, because I think that the provision in that policy that talked about how experts in that field can key into that, whether in groups, in class, and everything. I think government is now trying to introduce language education. All our primary school to GSS level now be taught in the mother tongue. And I think for your work, it will be good to look into that policy, see how you can key into that. Yeah, I have a copy with me. It was passed in 2022. Yes.
Okay, Dr. Kai, can you answer? Do you want to answer that?
Yes, thank you. Some points were raised about copyright, pirating, loss of income for authors, publishers, degradation of the knowledge economy. In South Africa, my name is Kian Tomaselli from the University of Johannesburg, and I'm involved with the entire publishing industry in South Africa, dealing with precisely these issues that you've raised here. South Africa has been negotiating a copyright amendment bill for the last 8 years, in which precisely those criteria are now being imposed, particularly with regard to the educational sector, which includes other public sectors as well, to the extent that the new proposed legislation borrows very badly from the American fair use philosophy to shift from author rights, i.e. royalties, protection, permissions, to user rights. So the author's losing all their rights, all their, to an extent, to a great extent. The result will be the death of the publishing industry in South Africa, because the bulk of it actually is educational in nature. Now, why is this happening? And the point I want to make is that Nigeria, I saw in the news media about 3 months ago, had passed a law similar to the one that is under consideration in South Africa that draws on the American fair use principle. That's a very unique, because what works only in America, and it means that if you've written a textbook and now the textbook is being pirated and it's being sold next door to the bona fide version, okay, that you have no rights. You cannot sue the printer of that book. You cannot sue the purchaser of that book. You lose your author right. Therefore, nobody wants to write anymore. Nobody wants to publish anymore. And yesterday there was a session where a British scholar had written a book on Nigeria, and she wanted to make sure that it was accessible in Nigeria at an affordable price. Not a single publisher that she's talked to will take the chance of servicing this huge market by producing even one copy that's available here because of pirating. And, you know, I guess if I have a question, the question is, why are the policymakers not listening to our kinds of arguments?
All right. Thank you. Yes, please. We'll be ending the session very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. Our time is up. And thank you, our panelists, Dr. Kehinde and Titi Lawyer, and to all our viewers and others that joined this session. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Thank you, and have a nice time for the rest of the LSA conference. Thank you.